Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is 10:51 p.m. on Monday evening. I just dropped Tanya Jean Appelstein, prettiest girl I've ever seen, off at her house. We started our new workshop tonight. It's a Zoom workshop. There's I think there's 8 of us in the workshop. We're just reading literature and then going through steps. But this afternoon, Tanya called me and she said, what do you think if we went over to our sponsor's house and we all sat outside, like the 3 of us, because we're 3 of the 9, 3 of the 8 or 9. Maybe I think it's 9 people, but there was 1 person that wasn't there tonight. So, or maybe it's just 8, I don't remember. Anyway, she was like, what if we went over there and sat outside and we just passed the phone around while it was our part? So we did that and we had such a good time. We got over there about 7:45 and our sponsor made a little cheese plate and she had cream puffs and peanuts and she cut up fruit and she had all kinds of stuff and it was really fun. And we sat outside and it was beautiful outside, although it started getting really cold. It's 57 degrees right now. And we just had a really, really nice evening. And we did our workshop. And then we sat outside for another hour. And then that was it. And then I took Tanya on the way home to get a fountain pop at the gas station. I got a can of Diet Coke. And I just dropped her off. And now I'm on my way home. And yeah, so I just thought I would do a little catch-up vlog tonight. And I'll drive in a circle before I get home. And so that it's a little bit longer, because it only takes me 15 minutes to get home. And that would be a really short vlog, wouldn't it? I woke up today. So after I vlogged, I came home and I slept until about 12:15 or 12:30, I think it was. And I woke up and I felt so rested. I felt completely rested. I was talking to Tanya about it on the way home. She's like, maybe you've just been getting really good sleep, and that's what it is. I didn't get to read a lot of the comments, but I did see a couple people had mentioned that maybe I need a sleep study. I probably do. But Tanya was like, I think maybe it's just, the switching up of your schedule, and you've been getting some really good sleep lately, and you haven't been taking naps, and that could be it. It could be. I don't know. Because I'm right now I'm starting to get tired, which is the right time that I should be getting tired, getting up, at noon. I've been up for 11 hours, so. But I got up today and just hit the ground running. There were so many things I wanted to get done, and I was wide awake when I got up today, and I was in such a great mood. I had set up the Cameo thing earlier this weekend, or last weekend, and didn't really know what to expect. And so I got tons of Cameo requests, right? Well, you have so many days to fulfill them, and so I had to do it was a lot that I had to do today. So I sat down on the ottoman in the living room and I just started doing one after the other. I had such a blast doing them, because people tell you what they want, what they want you to say, or they'll say this is for my sister Judy, and she and I watch her videos and she loves when you say ... and whatever. And so I used the drama phone, and I did a lot of personal phone calls with the drama phone. It was so much fun. I had such a great time doing them. I'm really enjoying that. So if you're somebody out there that has purchased a Cameo, thank you. It really means a lot to me, and it's just been fun doing them. I've really enjoyed doing them. So I did that today after I took the dogs out and stuff. And then I went and got a coffee. I feel like there was something else I had to do. I don't remember what it was. I went and got a coffee, and I was listening to my audiobook. I'm so into this audiobook right now that I'm listening to. Though I don't get to listen to a lot of it, so I listen to a half an hour of it at a time, 10 or 15 minutes of it at a time. I think I have like 8 hours still left of it. It's A Bad Day for Sunshine by Dorinda Jones. Really, really, really great mystery book and really fun read. So I was listening to that, and then I came home and I filmed my drama video, and then I filmed my Peterisms video, and then I filmed the review video, which was like a dog box unboxing. And so I did that with Boo and Tucker. And then Alex was on his way home. Alex was going over to his brother's house for dinner tonight because the aunt that is visiting, her son-in-law was going to cook like this big meal tonight because he likes to cook. And I couldn't go over there for it. He was actually going to do like a vegan meal if I was going to be there, but like I couldn't be there because of this commitment that I had, this like 12-step commitment thing that we did tonight, this workshop. So I couldn't go. So Alex went over there at like 5 o'clock. He came home and he helped with the dogs and he like fed the dogs and stuff. And then Boo Radley is doing this thing where Boo Radley will only eat if Alex feeds him. I don't know what it is. When I feed him, he just runs back upstairs. He eventually goes down and eats, but like at first he won't. He just follows me around. I don't know what it is, why he's doing that. But so then I had to do the a booktube video because I did do the announcement for the October book. So I did the announcement for the October book, which is called The Sinatra Club, and it's by Sal Polisi. And it's about, Sal Polisi was part of the Colombo gang or mob gang, and Mel picked this book out because Mel loves anything to do with the mafia. So this is our book for October, and it's Mel's birthday. Her birthday is October 2nd, so please make sure that you wish Mel a happy birthday. You can just wish it to her now, just in case you forget. But anyway, so it's Mel's birthday on October 2nd. So we are doing, like, she gets to pick the book she wants to read for the month of October. I mean, we usually just like agree on whatever the book is, but for the month of October, she solely gets to just pick whatever book she wants to read. So we kind of have an idea for what topics we're going to do for November and December. We've kind of talked a little bit about them. So we'll announce those closer to the date, but this upcoming Sunday is actually our live stream for the book, The Perfect Father by, I think it's by John Glatt, and it is about the Chris Watts, Shanann Watts case, which I was talking to like Tanya, my sponsor, about tonight. It's like every time I like seem to talk to somebody about it, like they have their own take on it. And I feel like everybody knows about this case. I really didn't know anything about this case until I mean, I had heard of it kind of vaguely, but I didn't know a lot about it until I read this book. And it was funny because my sponsor was like saying certain things. I was like, how did you know that? Oh, like that the girlfriend, Chris Watts' girlfriend, she'd actually Googled the book that Casey Anthony's girlfriend wrote to see how much money she made off of it. And that was like in the book. I was like, how did you know that? She's like, I fell down the rabbit hole, like when all this stuff was going on. Like I was watching all this stuff and on the news and on and on and on. So, and then we were all sitting outside talking about it. Anyway, it was beautiful outside. It was like a cool, crisp fall evening. It's a really nice day today. And then I got my videos done and got those up, and I took a shower, and I just threw on a hat on top, so this is hat hair. But I took a shower, threw on a hat, and got dressed, shaved, and went over to my sponsor's house. Well, I went and picked up Tanya, and then I went over to my sponsor's house. And yeah, it was fun. We had a good time. Her little dogs were running around and stuff. It was so cute. So it was a good evening. It was a good day all around. I felt much more rested, which I'm really happy about. I read a little bit more of, I think maybe like another chapter, almost another chapter of a series of unfortunate events, that book 1. I'm kind of really liking it. I said something to Tanya about it tonight. I was like, her son used to read a lot when he was growing up. And I said, did Nick ever read those Lemony Snicket books? And she was like, oh yeah, I think so. I don't think he liked them though. And I said, they're actually really good. I said, they're short, but they're good. She was telling me about some book that she's reading. My sponsor was so sweet. She was excited. She was making us cappuccinos. Well, she made me a cappuccino, and she made herself a cappuccino. Tanya just wanted water, and so she was putting it in like a special glass for her. And she was like, do you want a lime with your water? And Tanya was like, I would love a lime with my water. She got all excited that it was like we were having like, you know, fancy little drinks for the workshop thing. It was fun. She's so sweet. When I was, when I first met Tanya, like we first became friends, like I would go over to her house, you know, like all the time after work. I would just stop by there, you know, and we were going to a lot more meetings back then than we go to now. We were going to 3 or 4 meetings a week, and we would all afterwards, you know, go to Tanya's house, and Tanya would like make this huge cheese plate. She would cut up like cubes of cheese, or, you know, like she'd always have like a, what is it called, like a bar of cheese, you know, and then she'd put like pretzels and crackers, and then, you know, she would have like fruit and stuff. And she used to make this dip with like this ranch dressing and mayonnaise. It was like powdered ranch dressing and mayonnaise. It was good though. And she'd make this whole like little spread, and, you know, Tanya would make a whole dinner for all of us, like a couple nights a week. And there'd always be a bunch of people like going in and out of her house. Tanya was sponsoring like a lot of girls at that time. And it was always fun and really active at Tanya's house. There was always a lot going on. It's funny, it's not so much like that anymore, you know? She'd make a bonfire, and Nick would do his homework, and then, you know, like, he used to go to bed super early, because when I met Tanya, he's 28, I've known her for like 20, he was about 4 or 5 when I met her, so, you know, Tanya would have him in bed typically before, like, we were over there after the meeting or whatever, and, because I can remember I would like call her and be like, do you want to hang out and whatever. We actually didn't do like the fountain pop thing till a lot later. And I mean, we would go get fountain pops, but it wasn't like the thing that we did, you know, till like a lot later. And I can remember I'd call her and I'd be like, do you want to go get, you know, hang out or get a fountain pop? And she'd be like, no, tonight we're doing like homework. It's Nick's homework, or Nick's algebra night. They always did like algebra on Wednesday nights, I remember. And she would sit down, and Tanya's really, really good at math. And she would like do his, maybe that was more like when he was that was obviously more when he was like in junior high, but she would sit down with him and do like a lot of like tutoring kind of stuff with him about his algebra. He's super smart when it comes to math though. He always got great grades and was a really good student. But I can remember going over there, and, you know, Eric, Tanya's husband, would be like in the recliner watching a movie, and we'd all be out in the back patio, like, I think that's one of the reasons why, like it always reminded me kind of Roseanne. It was just very homey, and I've always loved that show, you know, and I didn't have that upbringing. Like, my house was quiet. It was silent, you know, it was like me and my mom. And she would always say, like, you know, you're always like attracted to going over to people's houses that like have a lot of kids, or there's like a lot of activity going on. My mom would always say that, which was true. Even if I just kind of sat there and took it all in, I really enjoyed it, you know? And I can remember when I became friends with Tanya, I mean, that was kind of like the community house. We went over there all the time and just kind of hung out and stuff, you know? And it was fun. There was always something going on. And yeah, we'd sit on the back patio, and Nick would run out, you know, with his friends, and he'd be like, Mom! can I go upstairs and play my video games now? And she'd be like, is your homework done? Yes. Okay, I'm coming in to check your homework. And he'd be sitting at the kitchen table, like right there doing his homework. And just good times, you know? Just really like healthy fun too, like family fun. You know, we always were playing cards and board games and stuff like that, and always just like a movie on in the background. And you know, if it got too late, I mean, I always lived 5 minutes from Tanya, so I didn't do this, but if it got too late, you know, someone that lived on the other side of town would sleep on her couch for the night, you know, it was just fun. We were talking about early days of recovery tonight, and it's like, I mean, those weren't my early days, because I didn't meet Tanya until like I was like 2.5 years sober, something like that. But like, I can remember when I first met Tanya, because it was like stopping at her kennel and stuff. And we kind of like both realized that, like, how we knew each other. And but like I remember early days of sobriety, and like going to a meeting and like leaving a meeting and feeling like, just, I don't know, like so just alive and just so happy and serene, you know? And just like I had like, I don't know, just this, it didn't even matter what the meeting was like, you know? It just, when I left there and seeing people that I knew in sobriety, and, you know, just having a cup of coffee, and it just was like wholesome. It was a wholesome goodness. It was a wholesome feeling, you know, that just made me happy. And I don't know, you know, like, I was thinking about this today. There's been like, I always talk about how much sobriety means to me and how much I love sobriety and all that kind of stuff, which I do. Like, my, you know, sobriety is like #1 in my life more than anything else. But there have been times in my life where it has been really tough, that like I really didn't think I would make it, you know? And even not so long ago, like I would say in the last 7 years since I came back, you know, into the rooms, I haven't felt that way. But I can remember the first couple years together, Alex and I, you know, Alex and I would go out, and, you know, people would like when we were leaving these bars and stuff, they would give us like these bottles of alcohol, you know, to take home as gifts, these huge bottles of like Grey Goose and stuff. And so we would have like a bottle like to give to somebody as a gift, like a bottle like in the freezer, like a bottle of vodka, right? And I can remember, this was probably, Alex and I had been together for probably 2 years. And you know, the really scary thing is that there really wasn't anything really horrible going on at that time. I mean, well, I was in recovery, but I wasn't going to meetings. I wasn't really talking to my sponsor on a regular basis, maybe once a month. Other than Tanya, I had no connection to recovery. I just didn't have the investment in my recovery that I have now. Like, I just didn't care, you know? And what I really didn't realize is that I didn't have any emotional sobriety. And emotional sobriety is, who are you when we take away the drink or the drug, right? And so, like, I didn't have any emotional sobriety. I wasn't a happy person. Like, I was so miserable inside, and I don't even think I really realized how truly miserable I really was inside, you know? And, I can remember Alex went out of town for a work trip, and he called me. He went to Chicago, and he went for a conference, and it was like a 2-day conference. It was like Friday and Saturday, and then he was coming home on Sunday, and he went with this girl that he worked with. And I remember, like, they like called me from the hotel room, and he was like checking in. And I was like, what are you guys doing? And he was like, well, we're going to bed. And it was like 10 o'clock. And he was like, we're going to bed because we have this conference really early tomorrow. And I was telling the story and then I mentioned somebody's name, so I won't. But anyway, the person that Alex was on this trip with. So anyway, Alex was on this trip and he went to Chicago, and so anyway, he had called me to say goodnight, and they had this convention like early the next morning, so they were going to bed early. And he was like, what are you going to do? Now, part of the reason why I'm telling this story is, so I think it's important for people to understand that, number one, like, once you've been sober for a little while, and really always, I guess, addiction really isn't about the drink or the drug. It's about the fact that we, like, use the drink or the drug. Like, for me, like, I love to drink. And I loved often using drugs. Like, if they worked for me, and they didn't, like, they didn't cause my life misery, I probably would still be drinking today if I was effective drinking. The problem was I wasn't, right? You can be somebody that thinks that you're sober, and it can, like, all of a sudden you're, like, right there in the thought, of, like, drinking. So anyway, I remember I got off the phone and I said goodnight to him, and it was like 10 o'clock, and it was like on a Friday night, and I had like nothing to do the next day, and I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do? Blah, 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 I have nothing else to do, yada, whatever. And I can remember I went downstairs, and for some reason, like, I opened the freezer. I was just like looking in the refrigerator to see what we had to eat, and I looked in the refrigerator and I looked in the freezer, and there was like nothing, And so, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And like, when I opened the freezer, there was like a bottle of Grey Goose that had never been opened in the freezer. And I was like literally, I saw it, and my next thought was, now, I wasn't in meetings at the time. I wasn't doing what I needed to do as far as my sobriety, but I also literally wasn't like sitting on the edge of a relapse. Like, I wasn't thinking about relapsing. It wasn't like I had been craving and concocting this idea for months on end. It just all of a sudden presented itself to me, which is like when opportunity meets desire, I think, is dangerous sometimes for alcoholics and addicts. And I saw that bottle, and I thought to myself, like, let me just tell you how quick this whole thing, like, planned out in my head. I looked at it, and I thought, I could turn off my phone. He wouldn't know that I'm not asleep until tomorrow when I turn on my phone. And then I could get drunk, and I could go tomorrow to the liquor store. I could buy a new bottle of Grey Goose to replace this. I could throw away the old bottle and everything that comes with it. He would never know anything had happened. He would come home and he would think it was the same bottle that was sitting in the freezer, which is like, this is such old thinking for me. Because this was the kind of stuff that I had done with my dad for years. Like, when my dad would go out of town and I would house sit for him, or, well, that was like late high school. But when I would stay at my dad's, or, whatever, and I would steal alcohol and I would replace it, or, not replace it, but think he just wouldn't know, or whatever. There was always like some grand scheme in my head, But it was old thinking. It was this process of like thinking through like how you're going to get that drink. And I can remember standing there, and thank God that as soon as that tape in my head ran through on how I could get drunk, like the other tape kicked in on what I would lose if I drank, that I would lose, my sobriety, my home, my husband, my dogs, everything, my friends, my family, everything, in whatever order you want to put it in. Not to mention I wouldn't be able to work or pay my bills or any of that kind of stuff, right? So, like, it ran through pretty quick, even though I wasn't actively working a recovery program. Thank God. Because, but there were many, many times like that. And I don't even know that at that moment I was that able to be that honest about it. It's not like Alex came home that weekend and I said, you need to get the alcohol out of the fridge or the freezer. I never said it to him. Not until I started going back to meetings. And then I said, like, there was, like, people always ask in my videos, are like, does it bother you that Alex drinks? Or there's, like, bottles of wine in the kitchen. Today, it doesn't bother me. Those are conversations that Alex and I have had. If it bothered me, I would say, I don't want that here. Can you please get it out? Now, there are some things I don't, like, I don't love the celebration of the act of drinking. Like, I don't want shot glasses just sitting out. But Alex does have a couple shot glasses that he has collected through the years. He has wine glasses, things like that. That doesn't bother me, but I don't want it out, like, just on ready display right there. A bottle of wine does not bother me. But like, I don't know, I don't know how, and I can't explain the difference, but like, when I say it to my friends, they get it. Like, a bottle of wine on the counter does not bother me, but like, a gallon of Grey Goose does. I think it's because kind of the implication of, the thing is that, like, I don't want a glass of wine. I want to, like, the alcoholic in me doesn't want a glass of wine. The alcoholic in me wants to get drunk, if that makes sense. I don't know. But I do remember when I came back into going to meetings, I told Alex, like this, there was a while that, like, anything, like, he kept in the garage. Like, I just didn't want to see it. And, oh, here's a story. I was going to say a funny story, but, I mean, it's not really, but he went with some girlfriends to the pool. This was probably, I don't even know when this was, probably 5 or 6 years ago. And they had gotten like a 12 case of beer, and they had taken it to the pool. It was like 4 of them, so they each had like 3 beers, right? And they split it at the pool up the street, you know, like our neighborhood pool. And he brought one of the beers back, and the beer sat in our refrigerator. And I remember it sat like down low, and every time I would open that refrigerator, I would see that stupid beer, right? And it like drove me crazy. And it didn't drive me crazy because I was like craving that beer. It was just like that, like, I do not understand somebody that just like you guys probably, if you're not alcoholics or addicts, don't understand where I'm coming from. I don't really understand like why anybody would just want one beer. Like, if you're gonna have just one beer, why wouldn't you just have like a Coke? Like, I don't understand that mentality, right? Because the drinking for me is what it does for me. It's not about the taste or the enjoyment of just having one beer. I get it today. There was a long time that I didn't, right? So finally, I can't remember, we had gotten into some kind of like, well, this would have been before marriage counseling, like long before, because we got into some argument, and I looked at him, we were like sitting in the living room, and I looked at him and I go, and can you take that beer, like we had been arguing for like 20 minutes, right? And I go, and can you take that beer out of the refrigerator? Like, that beer's been in the refrigerator. I don't even know what that beer's for. Why is that beer sitting in that refrigerator? And he goes, babe, all you had to do was ask me to take that beer out of the refrigerator. I would have taken it out and gotten rid of it. I don't even want it. It's probably bad now. And I go, well, why has it been sitting there all this time? He goes, I didn't even realize it bothered you, you know? Which is why it's my job as a person in recovery to communicate to my partner, like, what my needs are, you know? It's crazy when I think back about that, you know? That I was gonna let that, like, I just read that sign. It says face masks for sale at Zips. When I was gonna let that, that beer just rule me. But like, that's a good example of a day that, you know, if I don't have a support system around me, and I don't have, you know, people that are supporting me in my recovery ventures that somewhat understand, and I'm not in a position to stand up for myself, and I don't have a sponsor, and I'm not going to meetings, and I'm not doing the things I need to be doing, yeah, I could have easily picked up, and I wouldn't be here today to be talking about it. Easily. It's so scary to me, you know? So anyway, I feel so blessed to have the people in my recovery that I have today. They were laughing because they were like, kind of explaining the group, because there's like 4 people that left. Okay, how many new people are there? 1, 2. Well, tonight there were 3 new people. Is that right? And they were explaining to them, they were like, so like the kind of the group, and then we went around, and each of us, like, well, you identify, which is where you say, like, you know, why you're there. But anyway, then we all talked about, like, kind of shared, like, our story and, like, our sobriety date, and, like, why, you know, little history of ourselves. It just was, like, you know, get to know each other kind of deal. And it was funny because they're all like, so this is, like, really kind of like a women's group plus Peter. And my one friend was like, yeah, but he's kind of like a woman and he doesn't mind. I was like, what? Not me, no. But I love it. I do. And I feel so connected, and I feel so blessed to have these amazing women in my life that I don't just call friends, but I also call them sisters in recovery. I just feel so, so completely blessed, you know, to have such amazing women that allow me to be part of this group, first of all. And I don't know, it's just the coolest thing, you know. And the other cool thing is, too, it's like we're not all from Indiana. There's a lot of us that are from, like, all over. So there's several different states, I will just say that are involved in us doing this, you know, so we're all over. Recovery is a really, really powerful thing, you know, and there's not a day that I don't wake up that I don't feel like it's an absolute gift. And, you know, I feel so blessed to have been given the gift of sobriety and that I took it, you know. I feel so completely blessed, you know. I just can't even imagine what my life would look like without it. Well, like, I talked to my dad, like, when we went out for my birthday last summer, and he said, he said, you'd be dead. I mean, just without even missing a beat. I was like, do you really think so? Oh yeah, you'd be dead. Did not miss a beat. I think one of the coolest things is, too, like, several of these women that are in my group, I got to see them, well, a lot of us got to see them get sober. And to see somebody come in, you know, like, and get sober on their very first day, and then, like, just repair their lives is just, and you see it just kind of happen over a period of time just because they're doing what they're suggested to do. And you get to see people's lives absolutely repaired, you know, like, relationships are repaired, and just the way they feel about themselves and the way they speak about themselves, and they start looking better, you know. It's just, it's such a miracle. It's such a cool thing. And to be able to be part of somebody's journey of doing that, you know, is like, what a miracle. What a absolute miracle to be able to say that you were present for that in somebody's life, you know? You know, I look at my life today, like, I was doing this meditation in Peterisms, in my Peterisms video today, and I was talking about, it was about slowing down, was one of the meditations. And then the other meditation was about enjoying, like, the different senses, you know? And I believe that I had to, like, not go to meetings for 4 years to feel, you know, like, enough that I wanted to come back in. That I needed to come back in to have this, like, compulsion, you know, to have sobriety in my life. I think the timing is interesting of when it happened. And I think, you know, to be 48 years old and to have a life beyond my wildest dreams of appreciation for these things that are so simple in my life today, you know, that I always kind of had that. Like, I mean, in all honesty, I did. Like, I was raised by two parents that really, both my parents like nice things, don't get me wrong. I mean, they just do. You know, my dad likes nice cars. He likes having a nice house. He likes to travel nice. My mom liked nice things. She liked nice clothes and nice handbags and things like that. Nice perfume. But to not be focused on that. To know that those things that could be here today and gone tomorrow are not important. And to really cherish those things that are truly, truly gifts of the universe. You know, when you talk about, like, you know, I was talking today about walking, like, in the grass and barefoot, you know, or smelling fresh cut grass. My mom was somebody that really, really, like, she really noticed those things. And I really feel like that has been passed down to me. My dad is too. My dad can sit on his back patio and just sit there and with his binoculars look at, like, animals on the lake for hours, you know? He loves it. And, you know, he'll just be like, God, can you smell the fall air? The fall air smells so good. Or, you know, the fresh winter air my dad would always talk about, you know, when I was a kid growing up. And I think those are things that are byproducts of my recovery that I don't think that you have to be sober to enjoy. Like, I don't think you have to be sober to appreciate those things by any means. I think that you can, you know, just be anybody and appreciate those things. But I think in a lot of ways, what it did was I look back on my life of having this life that was just falling apart at the seams. So it wasn't about the big picture items. It was about staying alive. And when you've been there and you've been to that point where it's just about, well, I saved my life and I'm here today, then you, I think, to some degree, not just me, like I said, but anybody, and you don't have to be sober to have this, I think you have a really great appreciation for all of those details that make your life so charmed. Whether that's watching your dogs run around. You know, my sponsor tonight, her dogs were so cute and they were so funny, you know, and she was showing us how her one dog will go touchdown, and like she put her hands up and it would go she'd go touchdown and it would like smack her hands, you know, and just small little things like that. Or like this blueberry cheese that she had, you know, or just enjoying like she was having so much fun making these like cappuccinos. It's just enjoying all of those small things make that whole moment so much better, you know, and you really take notice of all of those things in life that really make life so great. That they really do, you know, and I don't want to miss out on those things. I don't want to become consumed with the things that don't matter. I think it's totally fine to like nice stuff, you know, and I was surrounded by people that my aunt loved nice clothing. She loved nice stuff, you know, and I think it's nice to have, like, but what's the appreciation in that? Just because it makes you feel better to go into a store, or is it because you really love like that thing, or, you know, whatever? I think there's even can be an appreciation in that surpasses just, well, I have this expensive thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I trade all of my expensive things in for some of the smallest moments, you know, of my life. I look at these pictures and videos that I have of like pee-pee, you know, and I think that little guy brought me more joy in the time that I knew him than probably any other, in all honesty, you know, almost any other living being. Like, he just was unconditional love, just the sweetest little thing. You know, I'd walk in the room and his ears would perk up and his eyes would perk up. Never fought, you know. Just the sweetest thing in the entire world. Tani was talking tonight about how she probably likes, you know, animals more than she likes humans. Like, yeah, I think a lot of us are like that. I don't know. I think it's hard, you know. Boo and Tucker were so funny today. I was like doing the little dog unboxing for my review channel, and afterwards I was like cleaning it up, and like Boo Radley was like sitting on these toys, and he was kind of like, you know, guarding these toys, and then like Tucker was like messing. Their personalities are so cute and so sweet, and I'm really thankful that I've gotten to slow down my life, and that I've been able to, by the circumstances of my life, enjoy things more, you know, and just really kind of like float and appreciate the life that I've been given. At least just, I mean, nobody else, I don't know who I'm appreciating it to, I guess, my higher power, but everything from a cup of coffee to just standing outside at night when the dogs are sniffing around and leaves are blowing across the driveway, and I'm really happy that was given to me somewhere, that I don't take that for granted, I guess. There was a long part of my life where I, more I would say close to when I was using, but there was a period of my life when I was more concerned with the superficial and those things that I don't want to say how I look doesn't matter, because I think like how you feel about how you look matters. Like because that goes along with my weight as well, and I do think it's important for me to be healthy and take care of all of that. But I'm talking about like, and I do like, taking a shower and making myself feel good, because that all goes into, I think, self-care and self-love and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking more about like where you're consumed with superficial things that if I'm holding this bag, I think they'll like me more, when in the reality is holding that bag is more for me than it is for anybody else, and most people don't care about it to begin with. And then I have to take a look at, why is that important? Why do I think I fall short unless I'm holding that bag? If I can enjoy that bag and hold that bag and it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter, right? Then hold the bag all you want. But the reality was, there was a point in my life when I wasn't that person. I wasn't holding that bag just to hold that bag because I enjoyed that bag or I liked that bag. I held that bag because I thought it made me somebody different when you saw me with them. When you saw me with it, or you saw me drive a certain car, or you saw me a certain way. And that's sad. That's really, really sad in retrospect, that I ever felt like I needed that, that I wasn't good enough for somebody else. And what's interesting about that is that I never looked at people that way. Like, I never looked at people and thought, well, they are less than because of not having this. I never felt that way. So why I felt that way about myself is beyond me. I really don't get it. And I definitely didn't learn that from my parents. My mother would have given me a hard time about that. She would have said, you think you need to have that? You think that makes you a better person? You're greatly mistaken. I don't know. I don't know what the turning point was for me. I think the turning point was for me, I think the two things was, well, when I started like paying off a lot of debt and getting all that taken care of, which I've talked a lot about on here, and then what I realized was the differences between what I need and what I want, and that my needs and my wants are different. And then what I realized was that those things that I thought that I needed were wants, and I didn't even want some of them anymore. Then it changed for me, because then what I realized I wanted was more days with a loved one, or a great cup of coffee, or just watching the dogs run around the backyard, or sleeping in with waking up and seeing Boo Radley just like look at me like this morning. My God, just like that little face staring at me when I woke up this morning was the sweetest thing, This morning, noon, when I woke up at noon, but it made my whole day, I don't know. I feel today so blessed to be alive and have the life that I have. There was many days that I didn't feel that way, that I didn't feel very blessed to be alive. There were many days that I complained about the aspects of my life and said, if you had my life, then you'd feel the way that I do too. And I don't feel that way today. I feel very, very blessed. And I think that's a really great place to end this vlog, actually, before I get even more lectury and analytical than I already have. So I'm going to end it right there. And I'm actually just going to end it like this tonight. I just want to say, I'm feeling super grateful tonight. I'm like real emotional all of a sudden. I don't know why. Recovery stuff just really beats me up sometimes. It just really makes me super grateful for my life that I have. Anyway, I'm feeling so thankful for being alive tonight. So thankful for the life that I've been given. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for allowing me to be a part of your lives. And I love you. And thank you so much for watching. You make me have just such an amazing life. And I really, really appreciate it. And I love you guys. And keep on watching. Keep on watching, please. And I love you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.